What if the biggest threat to your peace isn't obvious drama or overt hostility, but a subtle, corrosive influence you keep overlooking? Some women don't just bring a bad mood or conflicting opinions. They harbor intentions that quietly unravel your self-respect, resources, and emotional stability. Ancient Stoics taught that we must guard our inner citadel with vigilance. When someone close to you is actually undermining that fortress from within, recognizing the signs early is crucial. Tonight, we'll pinpoint 7 glaring indicators that you may be dealing with a genuinely toxic, or dare we say, evil presence in your life. This isn't about typical disagreements or human flaws we all have. It's about manipulative traits that hollow out your focus, self-worth, and sense of autonomy. We'll map each sign to a Stoic principle, uncovering how an evil mindset feeds on your inattention and how calm awareness can shield you from her tactics, ready to fortify your boundaries and stay rooted in virtue. Hit play, grab a notepad, and let's dissect these unmistakable warning lights. Because in a world full of subtle, harmful influences, knowing the red flags gives you the power to protect your mind, your mission, and the life you've worked hard to build. When you think of evil influences, dramatic outbursts or blatant betrayals may come to mind. But often, the real threat to your peace arrives under the radar. She doesn't storm into your life demanding attention. She quietly sows confusion, turning routine interactions into tiny stress fractures. Stoic philosophy warns us to watch for those who subtly disrupt our inner tranquility. In ancient terms, it's like having a woodworm in your fortress walls, barely visible yet slowly undermining the entire structure. 1. Micromanaging moments of conflict. A key sign is how she turns small issues into tangled webs. A missed text reply, a slight scheduling mismatch. Somehow these blow up into elaborate debates or guilt trips. Marcus Aurelius would remind you that noise often diverts attention from the truth. If petty disagreements keep ballooning, you have to ask, is she seeking resolution or fueling drama to maintain control? 2. Shifting accountability. Her approach to accountability can be slippery. Epictetus taught that self-governance is vital. But if she repeatedly deflects blame, claiming you're too sensitive or that you misunderstood whenever there's tension, she's eroding your confidence in your own perceptions. Over time, you start wondering if you're the one always messing up, which eats at your calm from the inside. 3. Manipulating the emotional tone. Calculated chaos doesn't always look like yelling. It can be the sudden cold shoulder, the well-timed sigh, the patronizing pat on your shoulder that says, "You wouldn't get it anyway." It's emotional stealth, introducing low-level tension that's hard to call out without sounding paranoid. Yet Stoicism reminds us, trust your gut. If every interaction leaves you subtly on edge, that's no accident. Impact on your daily rhythm. Watch how your day changes around her. Are you losing productive hours replaying cryptic exchanges in your head? Do you skip gym sessions or cancel time with friends because you're mentally drained? Seneca advocated a life of purpose over distraction. If she's drawing you off your track through constant low-grade turmoil, you're giving up the very hours that lead to progress. 5. Weaponized help or concern. Sometimes she shows up with a veneer of helpfulness, offering advice or stepping into your projects, but the outcome creates more anxiety than assistance. You end up second-guessing decisions, or tasks get more complicated. The result is you're more reliant on her input. It's a cunning tactic, keep you tethered by constantly fixing what she stirred up. 6. The subconscious exhaustion. Ultimately, the clue that you're dealing with calculated chaos is how drained you feel. If every conversation leaves you questioning your own stability or reevaluating basic choices, you're caught in a slow mental war. Stoic practice teaches that clarity fosters calm. Chaos is the enemy of both. When clarity fades in her presence, it's a glaring red flag. Stoic countermeasure. Guard your inner citadel through observation and decisive action. Acknowledge the pattern of chaos without getting pulled into the emotional whirlpool. Marcus Aurelius would advise you to keep your mind at the helm, recognizing drama for what it is, then calmly removing yourself from the cycle. This isn't about confrontation. It's about preserving a space where reason and peace can thrive. If she's unwilling to cease the subtle manipulations, your best option might be distance. Because once your mental fortress regains silence, you'll see how calculated chaos tried to feed on your confusion, and you'll never again hand over your calm so easily. Some of the most dangerous influences don't announce themselves with overt cruelty. They wear a gentle smile and offer carefully timed compliments. Yet behind that pleasant exterior, there's a calculated push to shape your decisions, your priorities, and ultimately your sense of self. Stoic philosophy warns us to look beneath the surface of warm words. Are they truly supportive or cleverly deployed hooks to steer you where she wants you? It might start with her showing deep concern whenever you face a setback, rushing in to offer comfort and advice. At first, you're thankful. Wow, she really gets me. But over time, you notice a pattern. Her kindness becomes a tool for influence, leading you to doubt your own instincts. Marcus Aurelius taught us that genuine empathy enriches another's capacity for independent thought, while manipulative concern nudges them to rely on external approval. One telltale sign is how she reacts when you attempt to stand on your own or make decisions that go against her suggestions. If she meets your independence with passive disappointment, maybe a stifled sigh, a comment about how this could have been avoided, you're seeing the second layer of her approach. Stoicism reminds us to spot emotional cues designed to plant guilt or second-guessing. Her seemingly sweet words about caring for you morph into a subtle brand of control. "I just want what's best for you," which in her eyes means do it my way. Another clue lies in the disparity between her talk and her track record. Epictetus would emphasize testing words by results. If her advice consistently benefits her own comfort or convenience more than it helps your growth, that's no coincidence. She might praise your creativity yet steer you away from actual steps that let you exercise it freely. Or she'll champion your career ambitions until you want to travel for a big opportunity. Then her empathy turns into warnings about risks, loneliness, or not being there for her. Watch how she frames your vulnerabilities. Being open in a relationship is normal, but if you notice your insecurities being highlighted in moments when she wants to shift the power dynamic, alarm bells should ring. A caring partner nurtures your self-confidence. A manipulative one magnifies your doubts and positions herself as the solution. Seneca's writings suggest that true friendship, romantic or otherwise, builds resilience rather than dependency. If her empathy leads you to lean on her more while losing trust in yourself, you're dealing with a toxic spin. Deceptive empathy also thrives on timing. She might suddenly become incredibly supportive after a rough day, only to push an agenda, like borrowing money or asking you to abandon a boundary once you're relaxed. The Stoic approach is vigilance. Let your emotions settle before making decisions, especially if her support arrives right when you're most vulnerable. Marcus Aurelius would advise counting to 10, literally or figuratively, to see if her comforting words hold up under the lens of logic rather than raw feeling. None of this suggests that all warmth is a trap. Genuine kindness exists, and a Stoic shouldn't become cynically suspicious of every caring gesture. But you can gauge authenticity by looking at the broader pattern. Does she celebrate your independence or consistently tether you closer? Do her empathetic words propel your personal growth or funnel you into obligations you never agreed to? Above all, do you feel freer and more self-reliant after her input, or more beholden to her opinions? When you suspect her empathy is a Trojan horse, step back and reflect, sans confrontation if possible. Stoicism teaches the power of calmly observing cause and effect. If it turns out her sweet words systematically undermine your autonomy, it's time to draw lines. That may mean sharing your concerns directly and seeing if she's open to genuine two-way respect. Or if you're met with defensiveness and manipulation, it may mean creating distance to protect your sense of self. Ultimately, real empathy fuels mutual growth, not hidden agendas. When her caring front becomes a wedge that isolates you from your own judgment, a Stoic mindset helps you see the difference between sincere support and sweet talk engineered to keep you off balance. By detecting the subtle mismatches between what she says and how it ultimately affects you, you guard your autonomy. And that's the cornerstone of a life guided by rational clarity and purposeful action. Sometimes it's not the dramatic fights or name-calling that erode your confidence. It's the steady, calculated discrediting of what you do and who you are. She might never blatantly say you're worthless, but she'll constantly plant small seeds of doubt that undermine your sense of self. Stoicism reminds us that our mind, our inner citadel, is where self-worth truly resides. If someone persistently chips away at that citadel, it's a telltale sign of a toxic dynamic. One immediate indicator is how she responds to your achievements. Instead of celebrating your promotion or workout milestone, she offers a backhanded compliment. Good for you, but let's see if you can keep it up. Or she downgrades your success by saying, well, everyone gets promoted if they stay long enough. Epictetus taught the importance of discerning constructive feedback from dismissive remarks. If her consistent pattern is to shrug off or belittle what you've accomplished, you're witnessing more than casual teasing. It's a strategic effort to keep you feeling less than. Another tactic is rewriting the narrative of your shared experiences. You recall a positive moment, like a trip you planned or a problem you solved. But she frames it as not that big of a deal, or worse, flips the story to highlight your shortcomings. Over time, these small rewrites accumulate, leaving you second-guessing your own memory or downplaying your competence. Marcus Aurelius would prompt you to ask, what is really happening here? Who benefits from me feeling smaller? If your self-doubt grows and she gains leverage, that's a clear sign of methodical undermining. She may also deploy subtle jokes or sarcastic comments in social settings. A playful nudge about your interesting taste in music, or a quick remark about how you're always so sensitive might seem trivial once, but repeated many times it creates a public narrative casting you as lesser. Stoics advocate for calm observation. If you notice your partner often initiates humor at your expense, and it stings more than it amuses, take a step back. The difference between good-natured ribbing and ongoing disparagement is the underlying intent. A friend's banter fosters camaraderie. Repeated digs usually hide control or contempt. Note how she reacts when you call attention to these subtle put-downs. If you calmly express discomfort, I appreciate jokes, but sometimes I feel belittled when you say that. Does she listen and apologize, or double down and accuse you of overreacting? Seneca emphasized that genuine respect aligns with empathy. If she refuses to even consider your viewpoint, you're likely dealing with a systematic pattern of undermining, not a one-off misunderstanding. To counter relentless undermining, a Stoic approach starts with reaffirming your sense of worth. External validation can't replace self-knowledge. Epictetus would say your value isn't up for someone else's debate. It's something you cultivate by living according to your principles and striving for mastery in your pursuits. If her commentary repeatedly collides with your grounded self-view, You can hold firm without either lashing out or meekly submitting. Communicate your boundary. I'd prefer we keep things constructive instead of tearing each other down. And observe her response. If she continues to poke and prod despite you drawing a line, consider scaling back emotional or logistical investment. Nothing drives home the seriousness of your boundary like removing your energy from a dynamic that undermines you. You don't need a showdown or endless attempts to prove your worth to her. You only need to protect your mindset. Sometimes that means seeking relationships, romantic or otherwise, where mutual support actually nurtures your best, rather than gnawing at your confidence. Relentless undermining can be subtle yet devastating if left unchecked. By staying vigilant, refusing to internalize manipulative critiques, and walking away when respect is absent, you uphold the Stoic principle of guarding your inner fortress. Your sense of worth is an asset no one should habitually corrode, and recognizing those small, repetitive attacks can be the difference between a draining spiral and a life aligned with your highest potential. A truly harmful presence doesn't simply lie or accuse. It strategically brews a fog of doubt, aiming to make you question your own sense of reality and the intentions of those around you. Stoic philosophy teaches us to anchor our judgment in clear observation. Yet a manipulative partner will continuously distort your lens, introducing question after question. Are you sure your friend isn't secretly jealous? Or, don't you think your boss is setting you up? While some caution is healthy, when she consistently sows unease, you risk losing sight of what's actually happening in your life. One of the earliest signals is how she frames concern. She may say, "I'm just looking out for you," but her advice habitually points toward distrust, encouraging you to read negative motives into neutral situations. Marcus Aurelius would urge you to test every perception against reason. If her whispered suspicions seem baseless or greatly exaggerated, that's a red flag. Over time, constant warnings of hidden dangers can corrode your confidence, pushing you to view allies as threats and leaving you feeling isolated. Another marker is how she reacts to good news. Does she greet your successes with a flurry of hypothetical issues? But what if your clients back out? Or that promotion might be a trap instead of genuine congratulations? This approach isn't just pessimism. It's a steady infusion of doubt that positions her as the only stable confidant. Epictetus insisted that fear often undermines our capacity for decisive action. If her negativity stalls your forward motion or makes every step seem suspect, you're losing time and momentum. She may also monitor your relationships with subtle sabotage, planting seeds about friends or family, highlighting their perceived flaws or hidden agendas. This fosters mistrust until you find yourself relying more on her narrative than your own experience. Stoicism counsels us to gather direct evidence rather than second-hand suspicion. Ask yourself, Has this person truly given me reason to doubt them? Or am I adopting her viewpoint without direct cause? If it's the latter, you're being drawn into her web of engineered insecurity. When you finally confront the swirl of doubt she's created, she might pivot to blame you for being paranoid, ironically pinning the mistrust back onto your shoulders. This gaslighting tactic forces you to question your instincts even more. But a Stoic approach stays centered on tangible facts and reasoned reflection. By calmly articulating where her suspicions lack foundation, you shine a light on her pattern of sowing unrest. Marcus Aurelius would remind you not to wage war in confusion. Clarity is your best defense. Ultimately, if her primary modus operandi is to corrode trust and generate fear, you're dealing with a dynamic that's actively hostile to mental stability. The more you second-guess every relationship, the less you can progress with clarity and purpose. Stoicism doesn't demand naive optimism, it calls for level-headed realism. If her constant insinuations don't hold water yet continually drain your peace, stepping back may be the only way to reclaim your calm. Remember, a relationship that thrives on distrust deprives you of the clear mind needed to discern truth, chart your course, and maintain a sense of inner security. If she can't offer genuine reassurance, your duty is to yourself. Guard your mind, sever the source of unsubstantiated doubt, and realign with the straightforward truths you can verify for yourself. A truly malicious influence rarely shouts its demands outright. Instead, she might drape her manipulations in phrases like, "If you really loved me, you'd," or "I can't believe you'd do this to me after all I've done." Stoic philosophy warns us against bowing to emotional blackmail, because it surrenders our judgment to another's whim. The moment you let guilt or fear shape every decision, you've effectively handed over the reins of your life. Your days, your goals, your peace all become pawns in her game. A key sign of emotional puppeteering is the pattern of conditional affection. She withholds warmth, conversation, or any sign of approval until you comply with her wishes. Epictetus taught that our deepest freedom lies in choosing how we respond to external pressures. But a manipulative partner preys on that desire for harmony, dangling love or acceptance if you just give in this once. Over time, these small capitulations erode your sense of self, grooming you to see her happiness as the absolute measure of your own. Another tactic is veiled threats. These don't have to be physical or extreme. They might be subtle implications that she'll leave, withhold intimacy, or spread rumors if you don't fall in line. While an occasional argument is normal in any relationship, a consistent pattern of do X or I'll do Y pushes you into a corner. Marcus Aurelius would urge you to notice how such ultimatums ignore the fundamental Stoic principle of reasoned choice. When every conversation turns into a standoff, it's your autonomy, not just your convenience, that's being chipped away. Emotional puppeteering also reveals itself when she trivializes your boundaries or needs as insignificant compared to hers. If you voice a concern, I need some time to decompress, she might counter with dramatic statements like, well, if you don't want to see me, I guess you don't care about this relationship at all. That's not a simple disagreement. It's a redirection of blame that aims to make you feel guilty for even having personal limits. Stoicism reminds you that healthy connection respects mutual individuality rather than turning every conflict into a referendum on your love or loyalty. Another marker is how quickly her emotions shift once she gets compliance. The moment you agree, her tears disappear or her frustration magically evaporates. That's a huge indicator the display was more performance than genuine feeling, employed to get you to bend. Seneca often warned against catering to manipulative displays because it only reinforces the cycle. Each time her tactic works, she's encouraged to escalate next time. Combat emotional puppeteering by grounding yourself in what Stoics call your internal code. Before reacting, take a beat. Ask if the guilt or fear is legitimate, or if it's triggered by her orchestrated cues. If it's the latter, calmly state your boundary or viewpoint, even if you're met with an outburst. Over time, consistent refusal to dance on her emotional strings either forces her to find healthier communication or reveals she's unwilling to let go of the marionette role. In the end, a relationship built on guilt or threats can't foster real growth or companionship. It's a psychological standoff. A Stoic approach sees through the drama, focusing on reason, mutual respect, and emotional independence. If she can't respect your autonomy, your best defense is clear boundaries, reduced engagement, or in more extreme cases, walking away entirely. Because once you stop playing puppet to her fear tactics, you reclaim the mental composure and freedom that every Stoic mind strives to maintain. It's normal for partners to be busy or preoccupied now and then. Everyone has responsibilities and personal pursuits. But there's a stark difference between genuine obligations and deliberate neglect. A toxic individual may feign constant busyness to subtly deprive you of emotional and practical support right when you need it most. Stoic philosophy emphasizes mutual aid in healthy relationships. So when her unavailability feels calculated, you're looking at more than just a hectic schedule. One major tell is the pattern. She's too swamped to attend your important events or offer help in a crisis, yet never misses a chance to indulge in her own interests or demand your presence when she needs it. Epictetus taught that actions reveal true priorities. If she consistently brushes off your phone calls or cancels plans last minute but expects you to be at her beck and call, it's a red flag. The imbalance suggests she uses the guise of busy to dodge reciprocity. A second indicator is her timing. You may notice she's mysteriously unavailable whenever you have a crucial milestone, like a major job interview, a family emergency, or a personal struggle that could use moral support. Yet as soon as the situation passes, she conveniently reappears, inquiring for details or acting baffled. "Oh, I didn't realize it was that serious." Marcus Aurelius would advise you to see beyond her words to the pattern of benefits. If she's never around to bolster you but always around for her own gains, that's a calculated form of neglect. A third sign is how she spins the narrative. When questioned, she might protest, "I'm so busy, you have no idea what I'm dealing with." Yet she makes ample time for social outings or lesser priorities when it suits her. Notice if her busyness aligns mostly with moments you need support but dissolves when she's seeking attention. Seneca argued that a person's genuine values manifest in how they allocate time. If her "I'm just so swamped" routine emerges only when you reach out, it's an evasion strategy, not a real-life constraint. Stoicism underscores the value of clear communication. Before concluding she's wielding neglect as a weapon, calmly share your observations. "I've noticed you're unavailable whenever X happens." If she reacts with hostility, blames you for being too needy, or dismisses the conversation without any self-reflection, you're likely dealing with manipulative behavior. Genuine partners, even when busy, acknowledge imbalances and try to find compromises. How do you safeguard yourself? First, don't beg for the support that should come willingly. Begging only reinforces her sense of power in withholding attention. Instead, apply stoic detachment. Rely on your own inner resources and friends or family who genuinely wish to help. Shift your energy into self-improvement or productive tasks instead of chasing her schedule. This isn't a sullen withdrawal. It's a proactive focus on what you can control, your own growth and support network. Over time, watch if she notices the distance. If she truly cares, she'll make an effort to be more present. If she doubles down on her too busy script, it's a sign she's comfortable letting you do all the emotional heavy lifting. Stoics affirm that love and partnership thrive on consistent reciprocity. A one-sided dynamic where she routinely starves you of help and then reappears when it's convenient reveals a mismatch in values. Ultimately, cunning neglect poisons trust. You start anticipating she'll vanish during life's crunch times. That undermines the core of any relationship: reliability and mutual support. The longer it continues, the more you'll internalize a sense of unworthiness or frustration, further eroding your mental stability. If she won't meet you halfway after you address it, stepping back may be the healthiest solution. As Epictetus would advise, don't hand over your well-being to someone who only offers presence on their terms. You deserve allies who stand firm alongside you in both calm waters and storms. If she refuses to be that ally, a stoic approach calls for calmly exiting the dynamic that prioritizes her convenience over your shared connection. Few traits erode a relationship faster than one person expecting privileges while offering little to no balance in return. You see it when she assumes you'll always pay, always drive, always rearrange your schedule, without ever asking or appreciating. The Stoics would label this a glaring misalignment with justice, one of their core virtues. True equity fosters cooperation. Toxic entitlement morphs you into a perpetual provider of her wants, while your own needs fade into background noise. The first giveaway is a lack of gratitude for your consistent efforts. She might pocket your kindness, like covering every bill or taking charge of her responsibilities, yet rarely acknowledges the weight you carry. Marcus Aurelius would remind us that a grateful heart is a hallmark of virtue. If she dismisses your contributions as expected, you're not facing normal oversight. You're confronting an entrenched belief that you owe her, simply because she deems it so. Another clue is how she handles any suggestion of fairness. Attempting to share costs or split chores might provoke annoyance or accusations. What, you don't think I deserve nice things? This shift from a constructive conversation to moral outrage indicates she views your role as a bottomless source of resources. Seneca, a champion of balanced relations, would caution that love becomes warped if it turns into a one-sided transaction. Entitlement often extends to time and emotional space. She'll block out your schedule with her plans, expecting you to bend without pushback. Or she demands unwavering emotional support yet never reciprocates when you're going through a rough patch. Epictetus taught that humans flourish by mutual assistance. If she never meets you halfway, never even tries, that's more than a personality quirk. It's a structural imbalance that drains your vitality. Watch for subtle guilt trips whenever you prioritize yourself. If you decide to invest time in your hobbies, career goals, or personal growth, an entitled partner might retaliate with sarcasm or frosty silence. It's her way of recentering the spotlight on her needs, overshadowing any concern you might have for your own development. Stoicism highlights the importance of self-mastery and progress. If she persistently undermines your attempts to improve, it's a direct threat to your sense of autonomy. Bringing up the imbalance is a litmus test. In a healthy dynamic, acknowledging misalignments can lead to mutual adjustments. She might offer to pay some of the time or schedule around your commitments, grateful that you spoke up. But if your concerns trigger scorn, deflection, or a "how dare you" reaction, you're staring down a bedrock sense of entitlement. That's when Epictetus's advice rings loudest. You control your own actions, not someone else's sense of deserve. Countering toxic entitlement begins with holding firm boundaries. Communicate calmly. "I'd like us to share expenses on these outings," or "I need Thursdays free for my own commitments." If she can't handle this shift or tries to manipulate you back into self-sacrifice, it confirms the problem. True respect involves not just acceptance, but appreciation of your individuality. Without reciprocal effort, no amount of giving on your end will ever be enough. Ultimately, the Stoic perspective on relationships is that they're built on reasoned choice, not coerced obligation. You voluntarily give resources, attention, or care because it aligns with your principles of kindness and justice. But once she transforms those gifts into demands, the moral balance dissolves. If every attempt at equilibrium meets resistance, the path forward may lie in limiting contact or ending the dynamic altogether. That choice safeguards your dignity and reclaims your mental clarity, ensuring you don't drown in a cycle of unearned demands. Because in the end, love without mutual respect isn't love at all. It's a silent transaction that leaves you shortchanged every time. Thanks for joining me in dissecting these 7 evident signs of a genuinely harmful or evil presence. Stoic philosophy urges us to protect our inner calm and honor our self-respect, something you can't do if you're tethered to someone draining your strength or manipulating your boundaries. If any of these points rang a bell, don't panic. Simply observe with clarity. Address what you can, and step away if respect or reciprocity is impossible. Now it's your turn. Which sign caught you by surprise, and how will you apply Stoic wisdom to handle it going forward? Drop your thoughts in the comments so we can compare notes and sharpen each other's perspective. If these insights helped pinpoint a red flag or two in your own life, tap like, subscribe for more masculine Stoic mind deep dives, and keep that inner fortress strong, because safeguarding your peace isn't selfish. It's the cornerstone of living a life aligned with reason, purpose, and genuine self-worth. Stay vigilant and stay true.